Jeffrey. I thought I'd come up today and interview you because you're such an interesting individual. I thought we could start with saying your full name, your web address, and your email before we progress further into this interview.
Okay. My name is Dr. Jeffre TallTrees, and my email address is Jeffre, Jeffre, at sacredrainbowmesa.com. And my website is sacredrainbowmesa.com.
Awesome. Now, Jeffrey, I was wondering, so what you present to the people that study with you is a very holistic approach. What was it in your earlier background that brought you here? Were you saying that you began in nursing?
I began in nursing back in the 60s. I have a bachelor's degree in nursing. And during that time, I was introduced to the very beginnings of the holistic movement. And I was very turned on by it and really embraced it. And rapidly moved into psychology in my life as I was a public health nurse and later a mental health nurse for Los Angeles County. And during that apprenticeship as a psychotherapist, I decided to go back to graduate school, and I have a PhD in psychology. And I had a private practice for many years in the Bay Area in California. And in the late 80s, early 90s, I began to feel a sense of frustration at the efficacy of the work that I was doing. I had tried many different things, and there were some things that were more effective than others, and I think I was just ready for a change. So I sort of put out to the universe that I was looking for a mentor, and lo and behold, Alberto Villoldo fell into my lap through his well-known book called Shaman, Healer, Sage. And I immediately called the Four Winds Society, which is the overall organization through which his teachings are taught, and I signed up for their 2-year-long class. And a couple of years into it, I started assisting, I started teaching, and then became part of the senior staff teaching the work of the Four Winds. Now, what is the Four Winds? It is a school of shamanic healing, and the teachings come predominantly from Peru. And I'm not very good at looking into a camera, so that's definitely something I have to
adjust to.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me.
Yeah, but then my eyes will be going down instead of up where the camera is. So
I'm just paying attention to your doogie.
I need to practice that. And so shamanism, as a practice, I was introduced to it initially in '94 when my husband died suddenly, and I went off to Peru with a particular shaman named Juan Victor Nunez del Prado, and spent 3 weeks in Peru and felt my life taking a huge turn. But I didn't take any active steps until almost a decade later, when I began the training through the Four Winds Society. So what we teach in the Four Winds is what I'm calling 21st century shamanism. That's not what the Four Winds calls it, but it is modern shamanism because it is a mixture. It's an eclectic mixture of ancient techniques and beliefs and modern psychological constructs.
Jeffrey, does that predominantly orientate still towards the Peruvian lineage and heritage that you were teaching at one time? Is it still orientated towards the Munaki and...
Well, the roots are definitely in Peru, and many of our fundamental techniques come from the Andes in Peru, but some of them also come from the jungle, the Indians in
South
the jungle,
American jungle?
Peruvian jungle, and some come from the coastal Indians in Peru. When he was younger, Alberto traveled a lot and gathered a lot of information and ways of doing things and ways of seeing things, and has had a very prolific writing career where all of his teachings are elaborated in many books, multiple books. So it's modern shamanism in that we look at the energy body, which shamans have known about for thousands of years, and science has finally validated it, that we do have an energy field around us, electromagnetic field. And so as a shaman, I work inside that field to clear energy, to move energy, to shift things so that real fundamental healing can take place.
And is that actually, do you look at the person's energy and then you can see where the energy needs to be worked, but does that sometimes actually wind up directing you to recommend a type of medical treatment? Or?
Certainly. If somebody is already engaged with a physician in treatment of some kind of condition, or if my vision suggests that there's something that should be taken care of through a medical doctor, we work very closely with medical doctors.
Excellent. So you work with Western medicine?
Of course.
Absolutely. Excellent. Excellent. So your healing techniques help a person mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually to become well.
Exactly. Exactly. Let me give you an example. For instance, let's say somebody has to have a surgical procedure, whether it's a minor one or a major one. If that person could work with a shaman before the surgery, assuming it's elective surgery, of course, we could prepare the energy body, which contains the physical body. We could prepare the energy body so that healing will be much, much faster than if that work was not done beforehand.
Excellent. And you might also see that there's some kind of connection mentally, emotionally, spiritually to the wounding of the physical body and making the person conscious of what that might pertain to in their present state.
Absolutely.
So if I have emotional woundedness and that's impacting my health, you would help me to unravel that dis-ease to become well in conjunction with my other medical team.
Yes, yes. But we work at the energetic level. So the process may involve psychological healing, but that's not the direction that we go. We work at the energetic level, and that allows the person to begin to shift his or her perspective of what's going on in their life.
Okay. Can I reiterate what I'm hearing? You actually work on a level that's beyond the conscious level that shifts the energy so they can become conscious.
Yes.
If you're not aware of your energy, then this is an opportunity to perhaps not only have your energy shifted for you in a way that you're not aware of, but become aware of the shift so you can maintain it. Or is that too concrete? Is that too...
No, there's an element of that. And certainly we do want people to be aware of their actions and their feelings, and we want to empower them to deal with those feelings or that physical condition. And so that they can play like the puppies.
She's standing her ground rather well.
She does. She does that. And so it's more like preparing the field so that consciousness can occur.
Right. Creating an opening for consciousness to emerge. And if you were to describe what that energy field looks like, what does it look like? Can you see it, or is it more a sense, a feeling?
The energy field is roughly 3 feet, give or take a little bit, depending on where you are and how you're feeling, surrounding your physical body all the way around. 2 to 3 feet above your head and 1 to 2 feet below your feet, actually going into the ground or whatever it is that you're standing on. The energy gets more and more dense as it gets closer and closer to the physical body, and it's the energy closer to the body that most people see. Some people can train themselves to see the higher levels of energy, but it's still there.
Interesting. So do you have to ask a person for permission to look at their energy, or is it just visible?
If I'm understanding your question correctly,
like right now, without asking me permission to look at my energy, can you see my energy field?
I can see the energy around your physical body that's closer to the body.
Right.
But I would not ever do anything to affect that energy field without your permission. It would be, now, I'm sure there are people out there who can turn it on and turn it off. And it's with your intention. You know, when I look at you, my intention is not to look at your energy field, unless you ask me a question like you just asked me. And then I shift my intention, and that allows me to feel it and see it much more clearly.
Okay, so basically what I'm hearing is that you can look at a person's energy field, but you choose to not have that focus, that intention, out of respect.
Yes.
Until invited in to look at somebody's energy
Absolutely.
field. So
absolutely.
We're all aware to some degree of how we feel in our interactions, and that probably is the beginning steps of acknowledging energy.
Could be.
Okay, and I'm kind of digressing. I'm kind of digressing into my own curiosities.
Sage.
I have The Hands of Light by Barbara Brennan that I want to start reading, and I have familiarity with energy, and your format is taught through a different lineage of learning, and yet you're being a nurse, you probably have some element of the same format that The Hands of Light teaches.
I use The Hands of Light in my own classes.
Awesome.
Along with Alberto's book.
Awesome. Because you're a healer. Your entire focus is healing. So to segue into the next question that I have, that of services that you offer, what is it that you teach? Like if I wanted to come to you and you were to teach me one of your programs, what would you offer me?
Well, currently the main vehicle that I'm using right now is something we call the medicine wheel. And the medicine wheel is an ancient symbol of wholeness, a symbol of life, which includes the directions as well as all the elements of life. And this symbol is pretty universal, not just in North America, but there are certainly, it is pervasive in North America, in the Native American cultures. And so I teach in the format of 4 classes, beginning with the South class, and based on our belief that healing yourself is a prerequisite, or holding yourself, as I like to say, W. In order to become a shaman, becoming a shaman means that you have to be clear in your own energy field in order to see and feel and step out of the way of other people learning about their own healing path. So this is almost a 2-year program where you're healing yourself and learning healing techniques at the same time. And I teach that here in Truckee. And I also am planning in the future a class about initiating oneself into the personhood of a crone, working with older women who, once you get to the age of 50 or 55, this society does not have much of a place for you. And so we want to turn that, a friend of mine, who's also a Four Winds graduate, we want to turn that into an initiation where we can empower older women to feel really, really good about their process of aging.
Awesome.
And I also have some other classes planned off in the future, but that's what I'm doing right now.
So basically, if someone wanted to contact you, your email is the best contact format, and the website to find out what other classes you would be teaching.
Correct.
Thank you, Jeffre. I really appreciate your spending the time with me to give us a taste of what you offer to the public at large. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And before I close, I loved it when you did a clearing for my bookstore. That was just an absolute beautiful ceremony that you did, and I was really honored when you did that.
Oh.
You remember that?
Vaguely.
Yeah, you did a blessing for the store. It was, and we actually walked the perimeter.
The whole building.